Hi everyone, this is Christina Lin, and this is the fourth part of our Home Loan Quick Start demo on JBoss Fuse 6.1. And I like using JBoss Fuse because it's much easier for you to code and maintain. Because sometimes when we are developing a system or application, we need to write lots and lots of business logics. And for this business logic, it's often isolated with one system. So if another system or application that needs to use the same business logic, it's often the case that we duplicate or reuse the or just import the jars or things like that to reuse the business logic that we have written before. And what happens if there are other applications that are going to use the same business logic? You are going to be in a duplication hell. So lots of maintenance, and you have to go through every single system when there's something needs to be changed in the business logic. So it's with JBoss Fuse, it's easier for you. It's easier for us to just using the ESB of JBoss Fuse. We can just simply expose the business logic into the enterprise service bus as a service, and for the other systems or application that needs to reuse the same business logic, just look up the services from the ESB and it can simply just reuse it. And in between different systems, there are different endpoints, and with JBoss Fuse, it has around 140 supported endpoints, allows you to reuse and to utilize all these protocols, so you don't have to write them yourselves. And today, our demo is going to be with using the web services and the Restful web services. So the first three parts of the demo is we have actually been building the home loan integration system, which is taking the information from other systems and process it into our database. Now, here comes another application or another system that needs the information that we have gathered from the home loan integration system, and the format they needed and the protocol they're going to they wanted to is a RESTful web services, and the format they want is JSON. So with this demo, what we are going to do is we're going to reuse or we're going to just connect to the home loan integration system with a RESTful endpoint and exposing the information out as a JSON. And there's not much for us to do in our demo. The only thing we need to do is getting the information out from the database and put the data together into a JSON format and expose it out through the RESTful web services, which is provided by the CXF components in the JBoss Fuse 6.1. And let's get on with our demo. So we're going to start from our previous demo and open up the projects, and as usual we're going to add the dependencies we're going to use for this project, for this part of the demo. And for this part we're going to add the web services, the RESTful web services CXF dependencies on top of that, and there is the ASM dependency as well, so we're going to add it on as well, and that's it. And for this demo, we're going to create another XML, so it's easier to maintain, and we're going to put in the ID as usual, so it's easier to debug and determine. So with the IDs, it's also on the designed console as well on JBDS, but it's I like it to do it on top of XML because once you get used to it, it's easier to do it on XML. So for the RESTful endpoint, we need to create an endpoint class. So I'm going to create another folder called endpoints, and the name for the XML is summary. For the endpoint is summary service. So on top of that, we're going to put the CXF settings and configurations. So the path for my web services is going to be under summary service, and the method name, you can name it anything you want. So I'm just going to call it get summary, and we're not going to do anything for this method because we're going to process it later on the route, and so we're going to return no for this method. And to separate this method from the other methods, which is going to be used in to be in this services endpoint, so we're going to give it a new path, which is called customer, with the national ID as its next parameter. Should be lowercase, sorry, and we're making sure it's returning a JSON format, so put in the JSON format type. And in the XML file, we are going to add the schema that's related to the CXF, and add the CXF Restful server settings with the IPs and routes and the related service class, which is the one we have created before. And we can start doing our routes. So as an endpoint, we're going to receive the request from the RESTful endpoint service. So we're going to use the CXFRS components with the being named RESTful services that we have set before. So this will give us the RESTful endpoints that's getting the informations in. And with that, we're going to make sure the incoming type, which is the camel message, we want to make sure it's in a string, because we're taking in the national ID as the parameter, so it's just one single string. So we're converting into a string, and now we're ready to process it. So for that, we want to select the information from the database with the SQL components that we used before in our demo, and we need to set the national ID as its information. So we're going to use the national ID. We're setting the national ID in the header, so it's getting national ID, and now we're putting in the SQL components. So it's from SQL, and the XML, the SQL that we're going to use is select. Okay, so it's going to execute the select SQL from the properties that we have set before, and we're going to print it out on the log, so making sure that it's all right. So we're going to say found in database, and the information should be out in the body content. So we're printing out the body content as well. And after that, because the body content is not in the format that we want to marshal it into the JSON format that we have set earlier. So we're going to marshal into JSON, and we have one already, the Jackson library. So it's going to convert the information into JSON automatically. And here are some of the header setting that you have to set for the JSON, for the RESTful web services. So those two, and we're going to put accept, so it knows that the information is coming out is from JSON. So put the application JSON in. Oh, and make sure it's in the language is under constant, because it's all constant. Sorry, so I have to go back to the previous one and set into constant as well. So because it's all preset values. And now what we are going to do is we're going to make sure, because the don't forget to put the SQL properties on, because we're reading it out from the SQL properties that we have set earlier, and we want to make sure the bodies that we return is a string. So we want to convert the body into a string as well. So make sure it's convert the JSON object into a string, and save and run Maven install. Make sure it's alright, and can start running. So what it does is it's starting up a Jetty HTTP endpoints from our plugin, and it's going to be ready to receive informations, and it's going to be started on the routes that we have set earlier on our XML. So it's under routes and summary services and customer with IDs. So it's selecting all the informations out from the database. I'm going to try the other one, and it should come out right. Yep. Thanks. And that's it for my demo. As always, all the resources and the source code are on GitHub, so you can find all the answers and how I coded. If it's not so clear in the video, it's in GitHub. And also, I'm welcoming you to visit my blog. It has a more detailed explanations of the stories and what things were mentioned in the video as well. And thank you.